A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Friday edition of the show. It's the last one for the week. Promises to be exciting as always. From Lagos, I'm Yemi Adebayo.
Show you that it will also be an explosive show in London. I'm Austin Okonakman.
All right, Austin, the big one is upon us, UFC 268, Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. It will get us talking on the show. The rematch, some call it a grudge match. Colby has been telling everybody that he didn't lose the first time out. I don't know, maybe he knows something we don't know. So that's going to form a large chunk of what we're going to be talking about on the show. We're also going to be talking football, a lot of interesting matches to be played in the English Premier League this weekend. All right. It does appear that we're having some issues, but Austin will get right back as we continue to take a look at the things happening in your fast-paced and amazing world of sports. So what I said, we set the tone for today, set the tone for the discussion, and later on, some of the guests on the show will join us. I'm very sure Austin is ready. But let's just quickly show something to you, what we talked about, talking about the bout, UFC 268, Kamaru Usman defending his belt against Colby Covington. It's going to be the second time, just like the other time he fought Jorge Masvidal. This is the second time he's fighting Colby as well. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in this one. Both fighters have been talking tough, and we hope to see a very good fight. A lot of the fans in this side of the world expect Usman to successfully defend his title. We'll see. Well, Austin is back with me. Austin, I was saying that a lot of people expect Kamaru Usman to successfully defend his title.
Yeah, he's the champ and he's done it over and over again. He's done the laps with the other guys in the welterweight division. So it will be difficult to bet against Kamaru Usman in this fight against Colby Covington. But Colby has been given this fight the sort of vibes that it deserves, And remember, I kept calling out Kamaru Usman, after that December 2019 bout where he was stopped in the fifth round. He complained about the wrestling. He accused Kamaru of, poking him in the eye or, stretching his nose at one point. So he believes he has a chance to go, again with the champ. And I've been listening to Kamaru Usman. Look, these guys don't scare me. I'm beating them over and over again. I'm the one who they want to beat. I'm the one with the belt, and he's not bothered. He's talking about a legacy fight, He says he knows we respect Canelo Alvarez, that it'd be good to see him and Canelo go and, into the ring and settle the case of who is the best pound-for-pound fighter. So no worries from me. I told Tayo and Cecilia this morning. I said it last week. I'm saying it again. With what Kamaru Usman has done in this welterweight division, with the way he took out Jorge Masvidal in his last fight, should be worried, getting into the octagon with this Nigerian nightmare. He's been saying, look, with Covington, he'll just go there and make it brief. And he says he wants to keep his legacy going.
Yeah, we'll see. The last time out, there was a broken jaw. Was a knockout. The bout didn't end. So if Usman is saying he's going to make it faster, then we should expect something very, very different from what we saw last time out. And so let's quickly take a look at the tail of the tape. Let's just try to compare both fighters. Let's put them side by side and talk through some of the things they've achieved in their careers. And while we're doing that, we will be joined by Tunde Koiki, who is a combat sports analyst, sports analyst basically, but has a specialty for combat sports. So we'll allow him join us later. But let's quickly see a tail of the tape, even as we compare both fighters. Like I said, we look at their age, we look at some of the bouts they've had in the past, the ones they've won, the ones they've lost, basically their history in the UFC. You have it, both fighters. A quick rundown of what you have on your screen in terms of age. Kamaru Usman is older, he's 34. His opponent is 33. You look at the height. Kobe Covington seems to be taller. In terms of weight, nothing separates both of them, 77 kilograms. In terms of the reach, Kamaru has a longer reach, and their UFC record. In the UFC, Kamaru Usman has not lost. Kobe Covington has lost twice. And their mixed martial arts record, you have one loss to the name of Kamaru Usman, and of course, 2 losses to the name of Kobe Covington. In terms of striking accuracy, 54% for Kamaru Usman, 37% for Kobe Covington. And of course, the detail everybody talks about, Kamaru is the champion, and of course, his opponent is the #1 ranked person in that category, mandatory challenger, that is it. All right, so we've looked at this, and I'm very sure we're going to get back to this as we move on. Let me bring Tunde Koiki into it. Greetings to you, Tunde. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight.
Thank you very much, Yemi.
All right, I want to get your thoughts on what we've been talking about, what a lot of us, this fight. Kamaru Usman is saying, look, it's going to end faster. If the last fight is anything to go by, this one, I see it as a grudge match, but Kamaru is saying it's going to end faster. The other guy is talking tough as well. So looking at all of this, what do you expect?
Well, I expect both of them to continue from where they left off last time around. Last time around, it was a really, really good fight. It was a really, really close fight as well. I had it at 2 rounds apiece myself going into that final round. But I think Kamaru just took it to a different level in that 5th round. Put it in a different gear, and Kobe couldn't keep up. And a lot of people, look at Kamaru and say he's not the most exciting of fighters. Yeah, that might be true, because he became champion by virtue of his wrestling. His wrestling and grappling ability is almost second to none in the welterweight division. His takedown defense is almost 100%, and that's what got him to the title. And but the thing about that is that he has even moved a level higher than his grappling. He's not an excellent striker. He won. He beat Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. And even Kobe Covington by virtue of his striking. And it was that TKO over Kobe Covington that really got him endeared to a lot of people. But he solidified it with those knockout wins over Masvidal and also over Gilbert Burns. Now, this time around, it's going to be very interesting because both men are excellent wrestlers. And it was because of that wrestling ability, I think they neutralized each other. I knew that, look, if we took this wrestling, there might not be any winner. And the fact that we detest each other so much, it really had to go to the striking game. And I think Kamaru is a much better striker. However, I think because of, Kobe Covington's change of coaches, change of tactical personnel and technical personnel, he might want to employ a bit more grappling. He's a really, really good wrestler, has a great output, so I expect him to throw in a bit more grappling this time around. The first time that both men fought, Kamaru landed 170 out of his 360 significant strikes, while Kobe Covington landed 145 out of 143, out of 395. That shows you something. Kobe Covington has volume. Kamaru Usman has accuracy. So it's going to be pretty interesting going into this fight because I expect both of them to bring in those statistics to bear again. Kamaru with the accuracy, 100% takedown defense, excellent grappling as well. Kobe Covington with the volume and relentless pressure. But the way I see it, it'll take a very, very or even foolish man to bet against Kamaru Usman retaining his title.
Tunde, it's definitely going to be a grudge fight, and to an extent, Kobe has made it so. With the vibes you've seen from the stare down to the press conferences, Is there anything in this fight for Kobe Covington?
Well, when you say anything in this fight, in terms of what?
Because Kamaru Usman is the champ. Is there anything he's bringing to this fight that if you are in Kamaru's corner, that will make you say, champ, be wary of this guy?
Yeah, well, Kobe is, despite the fact that personally I can't stand the sight or sound of the man, I have to give him props. He's a really, really good competitor. And he's won 16 fights, just lost 2 in the MMA welterweight division. That's a really good resume. And also, like I said, he has tremendous output. He has a great engine. He's relentless. And that helps him to wear down his opposition. And that was why it was too much for, the last former champion, Tyron Woodley, the last time they fought. And I fear for him in the sense that he's only really fought once in the last 1 year. Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman is taking on all comers, fighting on everybody. This is his 5th title defense. He's staying incredibly active. Not a lot of champions in MMA or even in the UFC are even staying as active as he has. So, but for Colby, I think he will still rely on his tremendous cardio, his excellent pressure, and the fact that he can also wrestle a bit. Those are the things, the tools I think he will bring to this fight.
Yeah, you met with Kamaru Usman when he came to Lagos, and I think I remember you also spoke with him on Sports This Morning. How much of a champ is he?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think I can honestly say that I'm the first Nigerian journalist who ever spoke to Kamaru Usman before he ever came on the radar. I spoke to him way back in 2017 when he was still a welterweight contender, when he was going to fight Damian Maia. He still reached out to me and told me that, look, there's this guy in the UFC. He's a fantastic fighter. He's on the fast train to the top. I think you should talk to him. And I said, good. So even back then, I got the sense of the mentality that he had, the single-mindedness that he had, the fact that he was a stone-cold, vicious, person in the sense that he had a goal and he knew what he wanted to do. And despite the fact that he was going through such tremendous trauma in his personal life, he didn't let that deter him from everything that he wanted to achieve. So it was no surprise to me that he eventually became champion. It was no surprise to me that he's had, 4 excellent and successful title defenses. And meeting with him in person was just like the culmination of everything that is suspected about the guy. I mean, coming close to him, the man has, I don't think he has an atom of fat on his body. Tremendously well chiseled, excellent athlete, an excellent gentleman as well. But you get the impression that despite the suave, sophisticated, intelligent man, a stone cold killer is right there behind those eyes. And if you are locked together with him in an octagon, you are virtually fighting for your life. And that is the truth. And last time he broke Kobe Covington's jaw, this time I'm not sure he might not break a few more bones, because the animosity between both men is not staged. It's not like that stuff you see in boxing at times where they say, this is genuine, I do not like you, I wish you are not on the face of this earth. And in terms of a champion, I think Kamaru Usman has shown that he's without doubt one of the greatest UFC or even MMA champions ever.
Let me jump in and ask you this. I've listened to everything you've said, and some will say the odds favor Kamaru Usman. But let me ask, if you are in Kamaru Usman's corner, does this look like a safe bet or a risk? Giving people you've beaten once, just giving them a title shot. Is it because, look, I've beaten them before, I can do it again, or it's a risk?
Look, every time you step into the octagon, every time you step into a boxing ring, every time you walk into a field of contest, be it in football, be it baseball, be it whatever sport, there's always the risk. There's always the element that things cannot go your way. But when you've honed your game to a certain level where you are miles above the competition, the risk, while it is still there, it is very much minimized. And that's what happened. That's what is going to happen in the case of Kamaru Usman. He's levels above these people. He's not coming around the corner and fighting the people that he's fought before because there's nobody else to compete with. And what some people might say because these people have fought them, they fought him, they have an understanding of what he is and what he brings. I disagree. I think because Kamaru Usman is so good at the fact that he's constantly evolving, constantly getting better, constantly sharpening his tools, he's going to make it really difficult for these competitors every time. So while I admit that there's a risk, there is an element of risk, Kamaru minimizes that risk to the barest minimum by the fact that, like I said, he's getting so much better, continuing to sharpen his skills, and the fact that he's just way better than anybody in that division.
And lately, Tunde, particularly at the presser, he was talking about giving so much to the sport, staying away from his daughter, that even made a statement that you don't let the sport, you don't let the sport retire you. You walk away when, you've got something to prove. Is it getting tired? Is it almost end of the road for the champ?
Nah, I don't think so. I think, like he said, there's really nothing that excites him anymore in the division, the welterweight division. If left to him, he'd probably like to move up to middleweight. But he said it very clearly that because Israel Adesanya is the middleweight champion, he'd rather have two Nigerians with two different belts than one Nigerian with two belts. So he's now forced to stay in the division where he's miles above the competition. So it's getting boring for him. That's why he was saying at that press conference, one of the press conferences this week, that he's considering, fighting an animal, the fighting pride of Guadalajara, Saul Canelo Alvarez, And I think that's a really great, it's a great fight to make. I mean, the best pound for pound MMA fighter in the world against the best pound for pound boxer in the world. It's truly combat sport at its peak. And it's something that, if you ask me, a lot of people would really like to see.
He says he wants to make it a shorter fight. Sunday, in a minute or less, is it going to be a straight 1 or 2 round fight for Kamaru Usman, or going to see an upset from Covington?
First of all, rule out that upset. It's not going to happen. Covington can say anything and everything he wants. He can't beat Kamaru Usman. And like Kamaru said, he'll have to live with the fact that in this era, when both of them existed, he was the better man. It's going to end in only one way, Kamaru winning. How it ends, I don't know. It might go the Masvidal route. Kamaru said that. And he said, because he hates this guy so much, he might take it slow, take his time, break him apart piece by piece. But one thing you can do is to bet your mortgage, bet your house, bet your future on the fact that Kamaru Usman will remain welterweight champion in the MMA, in the UFC competition.
Tony Koiki, I must say thank you so much for speaking to us. And I know where your heart is already for this fight, so I'll say all the best. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Austin. Thank you very much, Yemi.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it. Sports journalist who's got huge interest in combat sports. Today, Koiki speaking to us. So that's UFC 268. It's Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, going against the American Colby Covington. Where are you putting your money? So much heated talks already coming out of this fight. Kamaru Usman says, look, I've got nothing to prove. I've got a legacy. I'm the man to beat in the welterweight division. I've beaten these guys over and over again. And he says, look, because of all the talks, trash talks, the yak that Covington has been doing, that is going to make UFC 268 shorter. Yeah, what I like is that he says, look, I want to even create a bigger legacy. Why not put me and Canelo Alvarez in the same ring, and let's actually prove a point who is the better pound-for-pound fighter. Wow.
I hope he knows he's not going to use anything apart from his hands, And we've seen those crossover bouts tend to favor the boxers because, they'll use only their hands. But, you never can tell. He may have been training, boxing. He may be very good at it. You never can tell.
I totally agree with you. So that's it. We'll continue to monitor what's going on right there with UFC 268. Right now, we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, there's still so much going down in our world of sports. We'll tell you, so don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back to Sports Tonight on your award-winning sports loving channels television. We're taking a look at what's going down in our world of sports. We just gave a comprehensive breakdown on UFC 268, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Why not speak to us? Where do you think that one would go? Kamaru Usman is the champ through and through. He has dominated the welterweight division, but Colby Covington wants this fight, and he has made it a grudge fight, and that's why it's heated. Everyone's talking about it. Even at the stare down, the champ had to shove him to let him know that, look, I'm not here to play with you. We cannot wait for Saturday to come. Let's see where that one will go. But while we wait for that big one, I don't see any worry. I don't know about you, but I have said it and I'm saying it again. No worries from me as regards that fight.
Say that too, but Colby Covington is behaving like somebody who has nothing to lose. He's lost already. The guy broke his jaw, and I mean, if someone broke my jaw, I won't step into the ring again. So, but
right, baby.
But apparently he's a different kind of person, and that's why I feel that he has heart. It reminds us of what Deontay Wilder did recently. From the 4th round, his legs was off, but he stayed there to the 11th, hoping to catch Tyson Fury with those heavy. So I'm not scared, but that's what Colby has, that I think a lot of the fans of Kamaru Usman, a lot of people in Kamaru's corner should be a bit wary about. He has the heart, and he's going to stay. Even if you look at the first fight, after his jaw was broken, he was still in there. When the referee finally called it off, he was still arguing, even though he had blood all over his face and all of that, and he was still throwing those jabs. And I could imagine the kind of pain he was in fighting with a broken jaw. So that's the kind of person Kamaru Usman is up against. Skill for skill, all of the parameters you might want to use. I think Kamaru Usman, tops him in most of those areas. But this man has heart, and that is something, that's a commodity that doesn't come quite easy, and so that makes for an interesting fight. But of course, we are, because we're Nigerians, because we love the Nigerian nightmare, we'll always want him to win. But for on my side, there would be a little bit of caution. It's not a risk, neither is it a safe bet. You still go into that ring, anything can happen. But at the end of the day, I expect Kamaru to win.
Well, it is, the champ is the champ, and he has done it over and over again. And if you're as good as your last fight, then you want to give it to Kamaru, in that one. Talk about UFC 268. We'll continue to monitor it. But for our viewers, if you want to talk about that one, feel free to continue the conversation right here with you as regards that one. Let's talk about the maiden edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. Yeah. Finally, it is here. It has kicked off today in Egypt. Rivers Angels should be in Cairo as we speak. We've already seen games, but for Rivers Angels, it's another point to prove when they take on Asfa Club of Morocco.
It is. And I think it was yesterday we were talking about them not lacking in motivation. We have the governor of the state solidly behind them. So I hope they'll be able to put their hearts and mind into this one. They'll also, after that game, they'll also take on Mamelodi Sundown, the female team. So all Nigerians are behind them, and this is the inaugural edition. It's women's football. It's not like the men when you begin to look at the pedigree of their opponents and all of that. Everybody, I could say, and I'm very sure most people will agree with me, everybody comes into this on the same level. So it's who wants it more. So will our girls be hungry enough to give it a fight, And if the love that we have for women's football is anything to go by, then you know that we have the hunger, we have the passion, we're always ready, even in circumstances where things are not too pleasant. So I hope the girls should just go all the way, and I won't bet against them going all the way.
And for me, why I love this so much is now it has given us an opportunity to shift our attention from national team football when talking about the women to the clubs. And at the club level, you can actually assess development, because today, for instance, we saw a beautiful game of football between Wadi Degla of Egypt and AS Mande of Mali. And the Egyptian club side won 3-1. They're playing at home. That game went down right there at the 30th June Stadium. And Malabo King FC, women's club, Malabo Kings. Okay, we'll get to know why. Of Equatorial Guinea, they lost 3-1 to Asakas Ladies FC of Ghana. Rivers Angels will be busy tomorrow. We know Rivers Angels and the level of work that they've done right here in Nigeria. Now is the time to test your quality on the continent. And this is where you do it. Yeah, I mean, I remember when CAF, introduced this competition, some of us had doubt. Some of us said, oh, where would the glamour come from and all of that. They won, and we're already seeing beautiful football and giving a chance to talk more about women's football.
Yeah. I mean, you've said it all. I mean, without saying again all the things that you have said, it gives us an opportunity to look at women's football. For a big country like Nigeria, who, tend to do well with the national teams, but there's virtually nothing on ground on the domestic scene. It gives us an opportunity to try, help our teams in this competition, help grow the game. Of course, your champion must come from a league. So if your league is not functioning, you lose that kind of opportunity. So I'm very happy. Our problem has never been the national team. There's abundance of talent in Nigeria, whether those who have traveled abroad or those who are here. But putting that talent into a structure that will help us harness the potentials, get a lot of returns from the girls. And like some of our friends will in the media will say that if you invest in these ladies, you will see the rewards. And so I'm hoping with Rivers Angels in this one, the other teams too will step it up. Then the organizers of women's football, in fairness to them, they've been trying, but the biggest room in the house is always the room for improvement. So we can get it right with our policies and everything. And this CAF Women's Champions League is helping us to do all that, even though we were all skeptical initially when the idea was mooted. But we can begin to see the benefits. And one of the things we should also be careful for is this might allow other countries bridge the gap. And so if we're standing there on top and we're not doing anything, a lot of these people will catch up with us.
And this can also spark a reawakening for the development of women's football in Nigeria, because now we will see the need to go back to the basics, to give attention to the club level, to give attention to state, level, to also do what we can to make sure that we develop talents back home. For instance, they play Asfa Club of Morocco. The level of progress that Morocco is recording with their women's football can be seen from the work that they've done at home. The Bayana of South Africa, the work that we're seeing with that team started back home. For instance, Rivers Angel, no doubt they've got quality. They've produced football stars for the country, but a lot of things are still lacking. Logistics, management. They were playing a match tomorrow. They're just getting to Cairo today. Those are the little things that these sort of competitions will teach us that we can bring back home to ensure that we have good stuff going for our women's football development in Nigeria. So it's the maiden edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. About 8 teams competing right there in Egypt. Nigeria will be represented by Rivers Angels. They will play tomorrow. We'll come back to talk about it right here. Channels Television will give you all of the updates. We love women's football, and we're glad that we've got Nigeria in the mix in the maiden edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. Let's get on with the show now. Come to my base, the English Premier League. Everyone talking about it, Yemi, and we've got some juicy fixtures. It was really close for Antonio Conte in the Europa Conference League. And Yemi, I told you that it will be very, very difficult for him if he doesn't win that one. But games going on right now in the English Premier League is Southampton 1, Aston Villa 0.
Yeah, that's the game currently going on. Aston Villa results of late, probably some of the last few results they've had not going their way, and Southampton as well leading in this one, still in the first half. So we'll see what happens. A lot can change in this game, but we'll keep monitoring to let our viewers, especially those who are not watching this game, to let them know what is currently going on. So it is a scrap for positions in the English Premier League. Let's quickly go to what's going to happen over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Let's look at the fixtures and talk about, Austin talked about juicy fixtures. I mean, it doesn't get better than what you have on your screen. The Manchester derby, Manchester United up against Manchester City, Brentford up against Norwich, Chelsea will take on Burnley, Crystal Palace will take on Wolves. Crystal Palace these days under Patrick Vieira look different from the team that Roy Hodgson handled. Then on Sunday, Arsenal will take on Watford. Some Nigerian interest in that one. Everton will take on Tottenham. That will be a test for Antonio Conte. Leeds will take on Leicester City. West Ham will take on Liverpool. Let's start with Tottenham, Austin. Antonio Conte has been saying he expects a lot of improvements from his team. They almost gave away a 3-goal lead in the Conference League. Maybe the screaming and shouting of Conte from the sideline they, put some sense into those players. But this one will be a big test for how fast he's going to steady things at the club.
I know you mean that now he has an idea of the level of work that needs to be done right there at White Hart Lane. You know, it was very, close one against Vitesse. They remember they lost the first leg. They needed to win that one. They did just that, but it was nervy. Now they have a tricky encounter against Everton at Goodison Park. And remember, Everton, they're struggling. They lost their last match. They're trying to find your rhythm. And it is this sort of games that, they might just see the need to, okay, let's get talking since everyone is talking about Tottenham at the moment. So Antonio Conte, I'm sure, will do a lot of, psychological work. I said it the other time when we were reviewing this coming to Tottenham, that he needs to do a lot of mental work, a lot, because some players in that team just need to, find their spark again, and he needs to, put. But he has said that he wants to bring back entertaining football to White Hart Lane. The fans in England are saying, this is not what we want. We want results, because you can bring entertaining football and you're not getting the results. Go ask us now, but the Gunners now getting the results anyway. Let's listen to Antonio Conte. He's talking about, that game and what he needs to do to stabilize right there at Tottenham. So the state's new Tottenham boss, Antonio Conte, says they need to improve in many areas. I don't know what he's trying to talk about, but what I know is that Tottenham really needs to get back to winning ways.
Sure. Things weren't good under Nuno Espirito Santo, and they would want things. He talked about good football. In fact, Tottenham fans now wouldn't mind getting results anyhow. They've been battered and bruised in the last few months, and so they will take victories whichever way it comes. But Antonio Conte telling us the things that we already know. His players need to get a line, fit in or move out. Players like Harry Kane, will he go, will he stay? Some of the players, Tanguy Ndombele, for instance, so much potential, it's not been delivering. That defense line, even the Golori is the captain as well sometimes, so, but, the thing that the Tottenham fans will be happy about is that he understands the problem, and he appears like he wants to go at the problems the right way. So we'll see what happens in that one. All right, this weekend, of course, the game that would dominate discussion, the game that everybody wants to talk about is the Manchester derby. And, of course, everybody looking at this game and thinking it might be another test for the Manchester United manager's competence. That's what a lot of people are looking at, because it's a big game. He has won in the league, played a 2-2 draw in the Champions League, and now is faced with a big task coming against Pep Guardiola's side. And it's not an easy game for any manager to prosecute, but we'll see how far it can go. All right, we need to go on a break right about now. And when we return from that break, we'll listen to both managers, the Manchester United manager and, of course, the Manchester City manager, both talking about that game that we're going to see tomorrow. But we're going to listen to them after this break. All right, Manchester United manager there. I mean, the first thing he said is that his team has moved on. Uh, Austin, I don't know if you agree with him. He says, well, that result is for the history books. His team has moved on. I'm not sure the fans have moved on.
No, they've not moved on, you know. I mean, he knows that he's still under pressure to deliver. He must stabilize this team. They must get to a place of comfort and play like the Manchester United that the fans want them to play like. You know, and when you listen to former players, they're just trying to stand by Ole, but they are not totally cool with the way the team is playing, particularly when you take a look at the quality of players in this Manchester United team. And if you see some games that they've dropped points or even lost this season, you want to ask questions, you know. So nobody's forgetting, you know. So you're not moving on that fast, particularly when, you know, their fans start wondering with the momentum they had after beating Tottenham, and then they went on to struggle to get a draw against Atalanta, and now there's a big game against Manchester City. This sort of things blow confidence, you know, and so that's why people want you to come out there and give your best every time you get on the pitch. So Ole is just trying to stay cool, and that's all he can do for now because the board, they've shown him love, you know, and the only way he can repay this level of loyalty and confidence is to make sure that his team starts getting the result again. But he's handling the pressure the best way he can. But look, there's no moving on yet, so we start getting those good results.
All right, so there's also the issue about injuries. Talked about Rafael Varane in there. How big of a miss? I don't think City has big issues to worry with regards to injury, but how big of a miss is Rafael Varane going to be in the context of that defense?
In the context that he's just still trying to get his proper team, he will be missed, but Manchester United can play without Varane, you know? So, as I said, it's just week 11, and everybody's still trying to see what they can do with their team. Manchester United, Manchester City, they also have their worries. But as I said, if you take a look at that team properly, I think it's about management. Ole needs to know how to manage this team, how to get into the psychology of the players and let them know that whoever needs to play well, whoever gets an opportunity to play, must play well. And that's what we saw against Tottenham. He tweaks the team, and those guys, because they know that, man, there's fire on the mountain now, we need to start getting the results. It worked. Same thing might just happen against Manchester City, but because it's a derby game, there's some level of, you know, at this professional level for these coaches, it can be fair, but they just don't know where it will swing, you know, particularly whenever Ole sits back and remember that Liverpool just came and they were struggling, you know, and it was a terrible result for them. Manchester City is coming also, and he's just trying to be careful and say, look, but no excuses here. I mean, Varane or not, Manchester United has got players who can step in and then prove that they are indeed a big team.
All right, our parting shot, we're about to go. Would there be any consequence for any manager that loses? Our parting shot as we go. I think there will be. I think if it's United, that's my thoughts anyway.
I think there will be. I think there'll be so much pressure on Pep if they don't get the result tomorrow, because I know he hasn't moved on from that loss to Crystal Palace. You know, he wasn't expecting that they would lose that game, particularly after Laporte was shown the red card. He thought they could still produce something. Is it not Crystal Palace? But you see, that's football for you. They were stunned. Yes, there will be consequences for either Ole or Pep if they don't get the result tomorrow. Maybe they'll just, you know, share the spoils and say, didn't we try? Let everybody be all right.
All right, that's a good place to leave it. Want to thank our viewers for always allowing us into their living rooms without knocking on the door. And like I always say, it's a privilege we'll never take for granted. That's the show today. We hope that you've enjoyed everything. We'll be back again next week from Lagos. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
I love it, Jamie. Let's do this again next week in London. I'm Austin Okonapan, and everything you do, remember, stay talking sports. Bye for now.